Greetings. Sorry I haven't posted any theory style videos lately. I got really sick there for quite a while. In this, I just want to show some things you can do with basic chromatic harmony and then creating pivot chains. This is actually really easy to do if you understand basic chromatic harmony. And a link to the courses that we have on basic chromatic harmony is in the description. So I'm just going to choose G major and I'm going to go 1, 5 of 6, 6, 5 of 5. And this is all we need to create some kind of chain falling sequence. Instead of staying in G, we're going to use it as a pivot sequence to modulate through a bunch of different keys, or maybe 1 or 2 keys in a few examples. So this is all you need, this little sequence here, and we'll create a falling chain sequence. You must understand this basic harmony though to be able to do this. So we're going to do this. We're going to stop on the 5 and use that as the pivot. That's our new 1. Stop on the 5, new pivot, that's our 1. 5, new pivot, 1. And I just keep repeating this pattern every time I land on the 5. We're going to stop this at F sharp because eventually you're going to run out of room if you're doing this falling kind of sequence, especially at a keyboard. So what I might do is to make sure I can do this starting on any key, I might continue on the F sharp and just practice this same sequential pattern. And just, you know, if you have to stop and think about it, that's fine, because you're trying to do the exact same voicings too. I could have cheated and did a different voicing, but I stopped and thought about the proper voicing that I've always been using. And since I'm not a native keyboard player in the sense that this is not my main instrument, I don't want to sit here and practice this as if I can play it like a piano concerto. So we're running out of room when we get there, so I'll just start it on C up here, and this will take us right back to G. Okay, there. So we practiced this move in all 12 keys. So now I wrote out the sequential pattern for you. We're going to stop in F sharp. So what's something cool we could do with this? We could just arpeggiate the top and create some kind of really rapid falling concerto-like line. And I'll record this into the sequencer, and this is what it sounds like at speed. Sounds pretty impressive. I might take the same sequence, use some neighbor tones, chromatic neighbor tones, chromatic neighbor tone. Now repeat the same pattern. So think how many times you've used a complete chromatic scale just by doing this, every single tone. That is every single chromatic tone. It sounds a little weird, slow, and you might have to stop and think about the chromatic neighbor tones for a second, like I'm doing. So stopping on F sharp, it's not complete, but I'll record this into the sequencer. Here it goes. Techniques you'd hear like late Beethoven or Romantic era composers use. You might take just a partial aspect of the sequence and go from G to A as just a modulation. So first I want to establish G major. I'll just improvise this in. The sequential pattern. Again. A major. With a borrowed chord. So let's just leave it at that. This makes a really easy modulation. You might use 7th chords and extensions. maybe some borrowed chords. Changes our perception of the sequence. So I'm just improvising. Let me try it again with a I'm going to switch this up and go back to D. That's the beauty of using basic chromatic harmony and pivot sequential chains. You could go anywhere. I could go 1, 5 of 5 and use that as a sequential chain. We're not going to write this out. Memorize the one below or play around with one below. I'm just really thinking out loud. What else can I use as a pivot using chromatic harmony, basic chromatic harmony? And suddenly you're from G to E. By understanding basic chromatic harmony, I could rapidly modulate from G to D flat. And these are chords you would use in normal basic chromatic harmony within key. I'm just using some of them as pivots. But really you want to focus on the chromatic harmony chain. So I was just showing you other avenues you can go, and that's not for today because I don't want to write all that out. I already took the time to write out the long chain. So focus on the one chain that pivots off the 5 chord every time, and it keeps repeating that same chain in a falling sequence. Practice using extensions with the same exact thing, 7ths, extensions, 9ths, whatever. There really is no rule with that because you could use a flat 9 chord for a dominant or a regular 9, and you could just use your ear at that point because there's no rules when it comes to chromatic harmony and what types of extension you use.